Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Jaime Leverton, CEO of Nasdaq-listed Hut 8, to discuss the future of digital asset mining. Jaime, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Jill.
You got it. And the SEC last week approved 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs, giving investors more exposure to the digital asset. Meanwhile, the Bitcoin halving is likely in April, reducing the rewards for mining one block of Bitcoin. How do you think this is going to impact the industry?
Yeah, I mean, it's still early days, obviously coming off the back of the spot ETF approval. We do have a lot of history around how the halving typically impacts the Bitcoin cycle. We would normally see a few months of tougher mining rewards and tougher mining economics, and then typically we would see a bull market start to resurface in the fall. So difficult to say if that cycle is going to repeat this time. But certainly that's what history would tell us.
Walk us through your recent merger with US Bitcoin Corp, the largest merger in this space. What was the reason and need behind it?
Yeah, we're so excited that merger is finally closed. We're actually here with the team on a retreat this week. So we're about 6 weeks post-close. For us, we're one of the oldest publicly traded miners. We started trading in 2018 on the TSX, and then we're the first Canadian public miner to also list on the Nasdaq in spring of 2021, which brought a really lovely following of new investors. And really, when we thought about the type of merger partner we were looking for somebody that gave us geographic diversification. All of our operations prior to the merger were in Canada. USBTC's operations are entirely in the US. We were looking for the opportunity to re-domicile the company from Canada to the US in order to give us just more access to capital markets. Ultimately, our goal is to be able to get into the US indices, the Russell 2000, eventually Russell 3000 to start. So that was all part of it. And then USBTC, similar to Hut 8, also has a diversified revenue stream. So post-merger, we're about 30% of our revenue comes from fiat-based sources, and then 70% from self-mining. So I think just a really nice 1 + 1 = 3 type of merger that also gave us the opportunity to re-domicile the company, as I say, for that increased access to US capital markets.
Let's talk more about that. Now that Hut 8 is domiciled in the US and traded on Nasdaq, what new technology and business avenues do you think this could open up?
Certainly, it's a completely different market opportunity for us, one that USBTC is deeply entrenched in, so it gives us a completely new audience to start speaking to. I mean, we were traded historically on the Nasdaq, as I say, back to 2021, but I think there's a different audience when you're a direct issuer coming out of the US versus a foreign issuer coming out of Canada, which we had historically been. And I also think that this spot ETF approval is really a significant milestone for the industry in general surrounding Bitcoin. I think it's going to see more institutional adoption. I think it's going to see more interesting products and counterparties coming into the space, and really excited about the next few years and what it's going to bring to the industry as a whole.
You had mentioned that one of the revenue lines was, of course, fiat. Why is it important for Hut 8 to pursue a diversified strategy with both BTC and fiat lines of revenue?
Well, I think certainly the spot ETF also opens up just a new access for people to get exposure to the Bitcoin space. Historically, I think a lot of people that wanted some exposure to Bitcoin in their portfolio would come to Bitcoin miners, because that kind of gave proxy access. And now with the spot ETFs being approved, I think it's really important to build out more of a diversified business model, something we started a couple of years ago, originally with the purchase of our high performance computing data centers. So we've got 5 traditional data centers across Canada, and certainly seeing a lot of increased activity in that space with the continuing momentum coming around artificial intelligence and the new startups and kind of excitement and momentum surrounding surrounding GPUs and clustered compute on the GPU side. So I really think having that diversified revenue mix gives us the opportunity to be more opportunistic in how we flex into markets and into market cycles. Obviously, Bitcoin mining very capital intensive, typically very cyclical. So I think having that diversification in fiat really gives us the opportunity to smooth out some of that cyclicality, which I think is going to become increasingly important as the space matures.
So Jamie, we finally got over the proverbial hump of the Bitcoin spot ETF approval in the US. What's your outlook for Bitcoin in 2024 going forward? Because the reaction to the actual approval was relatively muted.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we've been talking about it a very long time. I am Canadian, and we've had spot ETFs trading in Canada for over 3 years now, as well as spot Ethereum ETFs. And with respect to the anticipation in the U.S. market, I think it was very much kind of priced into Bitcoin. Bitcoin has had a nice run over the last 6 months, and I think a lot of that was in anticipation of the spot approval. So I think now we're really going to be looking at over the next few months to how inflows kind of continue and build, and what that pace looks like, and then ultimately what the halving brings is an incremental kind of supply shock. So really focused on how the flows move, kind of on-chain analysis, and paying close attention to that liquidity as it changes post-halving.
All right, Jamie, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks for having me, Jill.